Hey people, you found the Hillbilly Voodoo channel. This here is Project EOR. Now if you're subscribed, you probably already know what Project EOR is. If you're not subscribed and you're just finding us, Project EOR is an extreme off-road wheelchair. EOR. It's a mashup of a lawn tractor, a snowmobile, motorcycle parts, and a whole bunch of other random crap we've had laying around here. Last time we got our wiring done, got the engine fired up. Engine runs pretty good. So I actually had to go spend money. Anybody that's been watching this series knows that I don't spend money on anything. Well, I couldn't find a belt, so I actually had to spend $8 and put a belt on there. I don't know if you can see it down in there, but there's actually a brand new belt on there. Kind of weird, eh? So now we can see if these wheels are going to go roundy and power our tracks. For those that have been watching along, you can also see that I've put more bracing in there, finish welded everything up. So I'm thinking that now I'm going to put the tracks on and see if this thing is going to go roundy by itself, and maybe put it on the ground and see if it's going to move by itself. Got a few more bolts to put in, so I'll do that off camera, not to bore you guys and watch me, tightening up bolts. That's kind of dumb, but anyways, I'll bring you back when I start putting the tracks on here, and we'll see what we can do to make this thing go. Well, maybe we can power it out of the shop here a little bit and clean up, or maybe at least back it up and clean up. So yeah, stick around. Kind of hoping that everybody can sort of see what I'm doing here. I'll try not to get my big fat head in the way too much, and maybe you guys can get an idea of how these tracks go on. It's really not super complicated. They are a little bit tight fitting, so as long as it doesn't fall off the jack stands and crush my toes, everything should be good. Could just very well do. Fall off the jack stands, crush my toes. Really not a whole lot to it. Went on there pretty easy. Lug nuts on. This bolt here is a track adjuster. We'll thread it out. It pushes against this, pushes this whole front idler forward. So give it enough turns, I guess, so that it's fairly tight. I can guarantee these tracks will be back off again here fairly soon, because all this stuff has got to be painted, and unless we don't really want paint all over the tracks. Yep, and tighten up the lock nut on the back. And that's a track on there. And we'll do the other side and we'll see if they go roundy. Well, I think I got everything that I need all hooked up here. Got a belt on it, got oil in the reservoir, I put some gas in it, hooked the battery up. Well, let's see what's gonna happen here. gotta say, that's pretty damn cool. All our hard work wasn't for nothing. Everything seems to be going roundy, and the only thing that I just realized, by the sounds of it, that transaxle is sucking air. Now I'm gonna have to check and make sure that this is the inlet and that is the outlet, because the outlet is higher. But by the sounds of it, this might be the inlet and this might be the outlet. So I'm gonna go do a little bit of YouTube University here and find out if this Eaton transaxle sucks from the top or the bottom. And I'll come back and let you guys know. But yeah, it works. So what I've found on the Eaton website is that this hose that comes into the bottom of the transaxle is actually the suction side. So as you can see, when I built the reservoir, I put the fitting up on the top here, so it's sucking air. That side there is the outlet side. Kind of didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but I don't know, that's what the Eaton site says. So what I think I'm going to do is take this fitting that I put in here and move it down into here to the bottom of the tank. We'll still leave the outlet side in the bottom of the tank, but we'll put the inlet side in the bottom of the tank too. Maybe we'll put it up a little bit off the bottom so that if any stuff settles into that tank, it won't suck it up. But I should be able to do that. I should be able to just move that fitting. I'll probably have to cut the tank open because I welded it from the inside. Yeah, cut the tank end off the tank, ground the fitting down, drill a hole down lower, or maybe just flip the whole plate around. Yeah, let's see what we have to do here, but we definitely have to change that. It works now, but I can see that sooner or later all that fluid will either get below that pickup and it won't go at all, or the air that's currently being sucked in there is probably going to bugger something up in that transaxle. So might as well fix it now while we got the seat off and yeah, see what happens from there. Now something's still not making sense to me. This is the tank that was out of that lawn tractor originally. This tube here went down into the top of the transaxle. The other tube that came from the bottom of the transaxle went into the top of this tank. Now, I don't know for sure whether this tank is the right tank that was for that tractor because the tractor didn't run when I brought it home. So I think I'm going to do a little bit more research before I start chopping that other tank apart because it works right now. So yeah, maybe I just have air in the transaxle from having it all apart and stuff, and maybe it will clear itself up, maybe it won't. But until I do a little more research, I don't think I'm going to take that tank apart yet. I think I'm going to put the seat back on this machine and put it down on the ground and see if it'll work with my fat butt in the seat, and see if it goes back and forth and roundy with 300 and something pounds in it. Well, let's find out. Well, Dot, the shop duck here, seems to agree with me, and she is super old and she knows some stuff, so maybe we'll just put the seat back on there and see what happens. Is that right, Dot? Yeah, let's do what she says because she's old and she's probably smart. Well, let's see if we can wreck some stuff here. looks like we got a real thing here, guys. Goes roundy roundy and goes forward and backwards and all that other stuff. Unfortunately, as I predicted, I didn't strap the battery in and the battery slid into the exhaust. So now we have a hole in our battery. But anyways, it works. Cool. So how's that for foreshadowing, hey? Anybody that's been following along on this build knows that I was going to build a heat shield between that battery and that exhaust, and I was going to strap that battery down, and yeah, well, hindsight's 2020, and now I guess I need to give myself another battery. At least I'm consistently stupid. It's not like a real surprise when I do dumb stuff. It's pretty much a common thing every day. So I guess now that we've wrecked the battery, maybe we should solve the problem that we should have solved before, and we'll fix the exhaust and build a heat shield. Well, I guess it gave us something else to do on this project before we take it outside and wreck it. So let's fix an exhaust and a heat shield. Guess you gotta kind of take the wins with the losses, hey? At least we know now that this thing wasn't a total waste of time and that it's actually gonna work. It goes, it moves, it goes round and round. Yeah, everything is what I figured it was gonna be. Battery's not much of a loss, I guess, because it was not good enough to actually start a truck or a car. Had enough juice to start this lawn tractor engine, but wasn't much good for anything else. So yep, let's figure out what we're going to do here for an exhaust, and then we'll decide what we're going to do for a heat shield. I've pulled our muffler off, and it had a little cover over here with a little slot that diverted the exhaust out. I could have turned that either way, but I think I'm going to build an elbow that comes off of the bottom of this and then comes out the side so that it diverts the exhaust out a little bit better. And as you can see, it was leaking out either side. So I'll build an elbow, it comes out, and I'll weld it on here so it's nice and sealed up. We'll see if that gets some of the exhaust gases out from underneath. And then we'll build a heat shield that bolts onto where the mount for the exhaust, or the support for the exhaust was, and then will come down here. So let's cut up some pipe. We'll probably have to, it's a pie cut piece of pipe to build the elbow, because that's a pretty tight elbow there, and I'll stick it on there and we'll see what happens. See if it gets some of the heat out from underneath there, or if we're gonna have to find somewhere else to put the battery. Put our little elbow on the bottom of our muffler here, so it should direct the heat out and away off the side of the frame. And I built a heat shield. The heat shield should go like that, and then once we all install it, it will be held on with the bolts that go through the bracket there. Hopefully that heat shield won't start buzzing and making an annoying noise, and I won't end up going vanilla gorilla and ripping it off and throwing it in the bush somewhere. But we'll put it all together here and see if it keeps enough heat away from the battery that it doesn't melt the battery. And Dot approves of it, so I guess it must be a good thing. Let's put her on here and figure out if it's going to work. Got everything bolted back in place here. The muffler's in there. The heat shield is attached. And that's the space for the battery. Now I have another dead sacrificial battery in there, and I hooked my motorcycle battery up because it's a good battery, a really good battery, and they're really expensive, so I don't want to burn that one up. Well, I'm going to start this thing up, let it run, see how hot that heat shield gets, and then I'm going to stuff my hand down in there and see if that battery is getting hot. So the sacrificial battery gets warm and I scream, and then I'm going to know that, yeah, that's too hot and I'll have to find somewhere else to put the battery in. If I don't scream, well then we know that we're good. So let's fire this thing up and let her run for a while and see what happens. Well, I had it running for about 15 minutes in total. I edited it down so you guys didn't have to sit and watch a motor rattle away for a while. Temperature is, well, it's still pretty much almost ice cold on the battery itself. And that was with it pushed ahead a little bit. The heat shield, you wouldn't want to hold your hand on there forever, but it's not like spit sizzling hot like the muffler is. So I think if we put a battery hold down in there, then it should be okay with a battery that wide. If I do end up going to a lawn tractor battery or garden tractor battery, they're way smaller, so they'll be way back here. And well, I have a few of these motorcycle batteries, but I kind of like them in my motorcycles, so there's always that option. But this one seems okay so far. If I build a hold down so that it doesn't slide forward, then we should be golden. So maybe that's what I'll build next. I built us a pretty basic battery hold down here. It's just a chunk of angle iron. Holds onto the edge of the battery. A couple of J hooks that go through some holes that were already in here. Holds it in there pretty secure. Not quite sure if I'm going to stick with this size of battery or not, so I didn't want to get too crazy on what I built here, but it holds it in there for now and it's going to do the job. If you watch this video to this point, then you're probably interested in this type of content, and you should probably subscribe so that you can watch some more of this type of content and not have to go wandering through your recommendeds every time you're looking for something to watch. So yeah, subscribe, give me a like, all that kind of good YouTube stuff, and hopefully I can keep providing you with some entertainment, or at least you can watch some of my dumb mistakes. Pretty sure that I'm gonna leave this video here because I would really love to take this thing and just jump on it and ride out into the yard and go crash into stuff, but I think I've learned from, well, maybe not learned, but had a bit of an epiphany that maybe I should finish some things on this before I take it out and crash into things. Like, previously I was talking about my feet would be the first ones to the scene of the accident. So maybe I'm going to put a bumper on this thing. But until I decide what I'm going to do, and until next time, use what you got to make what you want. See you guys later.